Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Tooie. In the last part, well, we had a whole bunch of cutscenes, and in this part we're probably going to have a whole bunch more cutscenes. Because really, this Gingo Village here, this is the first of the main hub world of the game. Spiral Mountain, like in Banjo-Kazooie 1, is really just there as a tutorial area, and just like Banjo-Kazooie 1 actually, you can skip it if you don't feel like dealing with that shit, so good for you, I guess. But this is Gingo Village, and it looks like everybody's just gone. Huh. Oh well. Sucks to be them, I guess. I don't think we need to worry too much about that. Anyway, basically, if you go into any of the houses, not just this one, King Jingo here will say pretty much the same thing. So he'll tell you to go to the big, fancy, shiny looking castle over there instead of the lame houses that don't have anything in them. And I have to say right now, love Gingo Village's musical piece. This might just be one of the most peaceful and serene themes ever created in any game ever. And it's so goddamn catchy too. I just love this track. One of the best tracks ever in video games. And it's up there for being my favorite track in the entire game, but there's just so many that I don't know what to pick. So, yeah, I love this game's soundtrack. And this is the first in many amazing themes that'll be littered about the game. So, hooray for that. Anyway, at the very beginning of the area, you saw this little silo thing that had red lights, and then when I walked up to it, the lights turned green. Basically, that's a warp point. The hub world in this game, the Isle of Hags, is separated into a handful of different locations. So the Gingo Village, this is one location, and this is actually the starting location for the game. After you get to this point, every time you turn the game on, you'll start in Gingo Village. So if you want to go to Spiral Mountain, you'll have to backtrack like one room. It's not far, you don't have to worry about that too much. But the silos are an incredibly helpful tool for backtracking, because there is a sizable amount of backtracking in this game, but it's all super convenient, and I'll explain why it is once we've unlocked more silos and it becomes more apparent. But it's just, oh, so good. This game is just so good. So anyway, King Jingling here gives us our first Jiggy, and with it you can pretty much tell how the progression of the game is supposed to go, because this is how it's gone in pretty much every game styled like this. You have your MacGuffin, whether they're jigsaw pieces or stars or whatever else, you know, there they are, and you have to get them because they're good. People like these things. So, as you play the game, you'll get more of them for doing various things. Like, you could find them lying around, or you'll do something for someone, or you solve a puzzle and you find one, etc. You collect as many as you can, and the more you collect, the more levels you can go into, and the more levels you can go to, the more things you can collect, you know. It's a very standard formula, one that was very prevalent around the N64 PS1 time frame, because it was, I guess it was pretty much the only way people knew how to do a 3D platformer at this point. I mean, I guess there was Crash Bandicoot, but yeah, I guess that's a platformer. But other than like running through a straight hallway, there really wasn't a whole lot of other ways to do a platformer. So it's either collect all the shit like you see here and in Mario 64, or go through the end of the incredibly linear hallway, which is basically the same way that platformers are still designed to this day, because, you know, even like in a Sonic game, it's basically just go through the linear path in all the 3D titles. Even if that linear path is not a straight hallway, it's a metaphorical hallway, because, you know, despite all of the different multiple paths that might be there, there's still only one destination. And when you've got an open-ended game like this, even newer titles like the Galaxy games, you know, still work on the collect X number of MacGuffins formula that have been established since this point. And, you know, I don't mind the repeated formula, because get to the end of the level and find all the stuff has been a tried and true gameplay formula ever since even before this point. It's just, at this point, I don't know, 3D platformers tend to get hit by the criticism of them all being Mario 64 clones more than other games. And I'm not really sure if that's a fair comparison, but it is an apt one, where I guess you could define this as a Mario 64 clone, but I feel like the mechanics actually make it seem more like Super Metroid than Mario 64. I like to call this game, like, when I want to describe this game to people who haven't played it, I usually say If Super Metroid and Mario 64 had a baby, then this would be that baby. And it's a very, very handsome, good-looking, awesome baby that can shoot lasers out of its eyeballs. It's just, this game is so good. So anyway, here we have pretty much the last of the cutscenes, and with it, the last of the setup for the game. Well, there's still a little bit more, like, there's still, pretty much the rest of this part is still the setup. But remember, if you're playing this game on your own, you can skip all this, so the pacing's a lot faster if you just want to skip all this stuff. But basically, our motive is not just revenge, but basically we have to stop Grunty because if she uses this cannon she has here, she'll pretty much just kill everyone. Not that Banjo knows this, though. Because, as you see right here, she's about to blast King Jingling, which, you know, is bad. But they never bring this thing up again until the very end of the game. So, for pretty much all we know, Banjo's motivation might still just be revenge. And actually, it might be more revenge, because the only guy who's been nice to him this entire time, King Jingling, just got blasted. So, you know what, that's just another thing for him to beat you up about, Grunty. Not sure if this is your smartest idea. And also, lol at the subtle innuendo on the buttons. Suck and blow. Very clever there, Rare. You do realize that kids played this game, right? Right? Yeah, whatever. We'll see some more not-so-subtle innuendos later on. So yeah, they're sucking all the life force out of the castle. Though I don't know how much life force you could find in the brick building. Okay, I mean, like, making the grass go gray and all that, sure, I can understand. You know, that makes sense because grass has life because it's a living thing. But why the fuck is the building harmed? It's a building. Do buildings live? Well, actually, considering this is Banjo-Kazooie, pretty much everything lives. So, okay, I'm just going to have to assume that that building has googly eyes hidden somewhere, and that's why they were able to steal its life force. Okay, that's just what I'm going to go for. So anyway, yeah, even though all Grunty would have to do is blast like maybe 3 or 4 things in order to get her body back, she decides that she's gonna blast the entire building, the entire island, just to be a dick. And so, yeah. And that's pretty much giving us our reason for why we have enough time to beat Grunty, is just because they're charging their laser. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Imagine if that happened in Star Wars, if the Emperor's like, "Now, Skywalker, your friends will die. Vader, charge up the laser." "Sir, the laser's going to take 16 hours to charge." "Well, shit. Looks like Solo will have just enough time to save you after all." Fuck. Yeah, I can't see this working in any other situation for you guys, Grunty. I just gotta say. So anyway, seeing as Bottles died, I guess we should probably break the news to the family. Yeah, it seems like a good idea, you know, let them know that their husband is dead. They could cash in on the life insurance, that would be a good idea. They should probably set up the funeral arrangements. I should have brought flowers. You know, what do you bring for a situation like this? Because, you know, it's kind of our fault that he's dead. You know, maybe we should have brought a fruit basket or... Oh, no. We're not gonna tell the family. And we're gonna completely scar these children for life by not telling them of their father's untimely demise. Okay, guys, you're the heroes. I'll just let you do your thing, you know. What would I know about that? Anyway, by talking to this kid, this one here, this is an optional power-up, but it's one that's slightly useful. Basically, it allows us to zoom in when we're in first-person mode. By pressing the up C button on the N64 controller, you can go into first-person mode, and when you get these goggles, pressing the left and right sticks, the left and right C buttons will zoom in and out. So that can be useful. And also, there were a couple of cameos in this house, like that kid was holding a Donkey Kong doll, and there's a few Jet Force Gemini posters hanging up. So, you know, Rare likes to throw Easter eggs like this up. So I'm gonna try to show them as they pop up in the game, but I'm sure I missed a couple. So if you see any that I spot, please feel free to bring that up in the comments, because, you know, I love to be told when I'm wrong. Don't I love to be told when I'm wrong? So, yeah, basically, if you went in here before you had talked to King Jingling, he wouldn't have been able to go through, and that Bottle's Son message would pretty much just be your hint to go, hey, talk to King Jingling, as if the message he tells you very clearly wasn't clear enough, you know? So, this is the Isle of Hag's Wooden Hollow, and this is pretty much what I mean by the hub world is separated into different sections. As you explore the main levels of the game, you'll unlock more abilities, which will allow you to go into different sections of the hub world, and then when you go into different sections of the hub world, you'll find more levels, and etc, etc. Now that we've gone to the Wooden Hollow, we've unlocked another silo. So basically, we can warp from silo to silo and go to any of the silos we found. So once you start up the game, there's a silo right there. So you can just hop to the Wooden Hollow whenever you want. Now that I've unlocked that silo, making backtracking so damn convenient. It's also, the game's also designed really well in that the silos are always in front of the main points of interest in every level. Like, in every hub world area, I should say. Like here in the Wooden Hollow, the silo is right in front of both Jiggy Wiggy's temple and Mayhem Temple, which are the only two things you're ever going to see whenever you go to Wooden Hollow. And so since the silo's right there, it minimizes the walking distance. And this is the case in every single hub world location with their silos. So the game's really well designed in that aspect, and it's part of why I love this game, because even though there's tons of backtracking, the game knows that that's annoying and tries to cut most of that out if possible. Now anyway, in that corridor down there, I found my first Jingo, and that was a member of the Black Jingo family, and you might have saw that I got 1 out of 9. Basically, there's a lot of Jingos hidden throughout the world, and their colors are randomized each playthrough, so if you played this game right now, that might be a red or a blue one. But basically, once I find all 9 black Jingos, I get a Jiggy, and when I find all of the red Jingos, I get a Jiggy. So, your Jiggy count might be different than mine as you're playing through this, depending on how lucky you get with Jingos, but basically, that's what they do. They're just an extra collectible, and if you find enough of them, you'll get more Jiggies, which can only help. So while Jingos might not be your main focus, you definitely shouldn't slack on them. Usually, they're a little bit easier to find than Jiggies too, or at least they take less red tape to get. So you know, pick them up whenever you find them. Don't try to miss out on them. They help quite a bit. So now that we have a Jiggy and we've talked to Jiggy Wiggy here, we have our first Jiggy Wiggy challenge, which is pathetically easy. You play this minigame every time you need to unlock a new world, and they get harder as you go. But it's just your basic jigsaw puzzle, you know. Well, I guess it shouldn't be basic, because instead of putting together a solid image, you're putting together a moving GIF file, which makes it a little bit harder in some instances, depending on what you're looking at, but for the most part, it's not too bad, and especially here when there's only like 6 different pieces, it's not too bad. So yeah, it's your basic jigsaw puzzle stuff. If you want to beat my time, it's 88 seconds, so see if you can do better than that if you want. Also, keep an eye out for locations that are shown in these GIF pictures, because they're usually showing you out-of-the-way areas in the level, or levels that are parts of the level that you might miss if you were just sort of messing around. Because, like, when I first played the game, it took me forever to find that room there. So basically, they're telling you that those rooms exist when they show them as a GIF file for these animations. And it basically means that there might be an out-of-the-way Jiggy or something hard to find in that room. So you should go and look there. Also, make sure that you watch this sort of stream of light when it's shooting out of Jiggy Wiggy's temple, because it makes it obnoxiously clear where in the hub world these levels are. Because, like, right here, they don't, it's not really a long animation because, you know, the temple is right next to the temple, to Jiggy Wiggy's thing. It's, like, literally right next door. But in other levels where, like, the entrance might be a little bit more out of the way, it's helpful to pay attention to that stream of light so that you know exactly where you're going. So yeah, with that, we don't have enough Jiggies to try the second challenge, but that's what Mayhem Temple is for. So next time in the Banjo-Tooie Let's Play, we're going to finally get to the meat of the gameplay and start exploring our first level, Mayhem Temple. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.